It was thrilling. It was a joy to meet them all and see their faces, their smiling faces, their hopeful faces, their expectant faces. I think it's a unique experience to come here, and you don't really, you get some idea of what it involves, but it's not until you're actually here and you're the atmosphere, the sort of energy and the creative aspect of it is very poignant. You can really feel it. So I was very energized by the group. Well, I come from a low-income, working-class neighborhood, and in no way do I want to put that down, because it's who we are, isn't it? We those early years, that was my beginning. But I was always dreaming, always one of those kids that just had their head in the clouds, and I was always in a fantasy or sketching, listening to music, watching TV or movies, impersonating people, taking characters from TV and sort of half kind of making costumes, and I was always sort of one of those kids. And where I come from, it's not common to turn around and say, I want to do this, or I want to be in the movies, or I want to be in the theatre, or I'm going to be an actor. You know what I mean? It's not really expected of you. And but my head was always dreaming. The life I've led and the career I've had, I could never have imagined in a million years. You know, I've had more than my share of good luck, and the movie industry has been incredibly open and very generous to me, you know. So I consider myself incredibly lucky. But those were I think those were the early that I can remember, you know. Always one of those kids who was always in a fantasy. I wasn't a particularly good student because I was never really listening. You know, I was always sort of looking out at the moon. You know, I was always somewhere else as a kid. But I would have loved a place like this. That's what Giffoni, the festival, gives these kids. Look, you may come away from here and become one of the great directors. You may come away from here being a great screenwriter, cinematographer. You may come away from here and work in a bank, or, you know, but I think you're probably a better person for having been here, you know. And for those people that were like me, dreamers, you know, it can focus that. It's so noisy, there's so much going on, but a place like this can focus those dreams and those ambitions, and of course open you up to. I mean, these kids come here, and they're exposed to world cinema. That is just in itself an extraordinary thing, you know, let alone, you know, dissect it and work on it and, you know, judge it. And, so, yeah, definitely a place like this would have been a wonderful thing. Well, there have been several turning points. There are a few that I experienced in the theatre as a very young actor. I would have to say what I was lucky. I was, you know, I got Sid and Nancy, which I started with, and just purely by accident, I then played Joe Alton, and I played those two. I had those two movies back to back, and that I think ultimately that was a huge turning point, because you could quite easily be a one-hit wonder, you know, with the one, and I had the two. And they're very opposing kind of characters. So if you really, you couldn't chart your own destiny as better than, you know, those beginning with those two characters that really put me on the map as a young talent, I guess you'd say, or a promising talent. And then over the years, I've gained more confidence, certainly. But I was trying to tell the kids this morning, you know, and this fellow over here, he'll tell you, a lot of the time, I turn things down. That's my process. Because I always think, why are they coming after me? Why do they want me? I can think of this actor, that actor that could probably do it better than me. I go through all this stuff before I eventually say yes to something. And a great deal of it is from a place of fear and anxiety, and you know, you might look at me and think, oh, well, he's 64 years old and he's been in the business for 42 years. I'm as scared sometimes as those kids. And that's what I was trying to say. Sometimes you just have to say yes to something, even though you might fall off the wire. You know, you've got to risk. You know, if you fail in a film, I mean, a firing squad's not going to shoot you. You know, it's not the end of the world. But I think you kind of got to look at it you got to look at it in a very serious way. That the fear, in a sense, pushes you to push through it and to be better, I think. So it's a healthy amount of insecurity, I think, is a great thing. What you don't want is that insecurity that cripples you, that just stifles you, and you can't actually, you know, that kind of insecurity where you can't even get out of bed. You know what I mean? But a healthy dose of it, I think, is great for everyone, because it would be a very sad day if you're like looking at yourself and going, yeah, I'm really great. You know, I think that would be sort of sad. Always room for improvement. I would say, if you can, come to the Giffoni Film Festival, be a part of it, be inspired, and you will be a better person for having visited. I know I am. Thank you.